This is the protocol to determine volatile suspended solids by loss on ignition at 550 degrees Celsius. Begin by weighing the empty crucible, then adding the sample to the crucible and weighing. Bake at 105 degrees Celsius for a minimum of 16 hours to remove water content and measure total solids. Next, bake at 550 Celsius for 3 hours to measure volatile suspended solids and fixed solids. Here's an example of a weighing table. W dish represents the empty crucible, W sample represents the sample and the empty crucible, W dry represents the dried weight after 105 degrees Celsius bake for 16 hours, W volatilized represents the weight after baking at 550 degrees Celsius for 3 hours. Here are the required materials: porcelain crucibles and their lids to hold samples, a desiccator to keep the samples dry between baking and cooling, a baking tray, a baking oven capable of reaching 550 degrees Celsius, a potassium phthalate positive control, a scale capable of measuring 0.1 milligrams, calibration weights that are 2 milligrams and 5 milligrams, and optionally a drying oven of 105 Celsius and a weighing table. Begin by calibrating the scale using a 2 milligram weight and then a 5 milligram weight, ensuring that the weights are within 10% of the expected value. This is the weighing procedure for each weighing step. Take the weight of crucibles without their lids. Ensure the crucible is placed in the same spot for each recording to reduce variability. Record the weight once the scale stabilizes. Weigh the crucibles at least twice to ensure the weight doesn't vary by more than 3 milligrams. If so, re-weigh until the previous weight agrees with the current weight within 3 milligrams. Weigh the crucibles once they reach room temperature. Begin by weighing the empty crucible, ensuring to take multiple measurements. Next, add the sample to the crucible and record the weights. Afterwards, add a positive control to another crucible and a negative control to another crucible. The negative control is typically deionized water. Each experiment should have 2 positive controls and 1 negative control. Next, place the samples in a 105 degrees Celsius oven for at least 16 hours. Once the bake is complete, transfer the crucibles to the desiccator and add the crucible lids. Allow the samples to cool for at least 30 minutes in the desiccator and reach room temperature, then weigh. To prepare for the 550C baking step, put the crucibles uncovered in a baking tray, then cover with aluminum foil. Set the oven to 550 and once it reaches temperature, set a timer for 3 hours. After 3 hours have passed, turn the oven off and optionally crack open the door to release heat. Then, once the oven has reached below 150 degrees Celsius, use tongs to remove the baking trays. Next, transfer the crucibles to a desiccator and add the lids. Let them cool for about 45 minutes and reach room temperature, then take the weights. Using this protocol, we can determine the VSS ratio of grams VSS to grams dry weight sludge to determine how much cation exchange resin we'll need for the EPS extraction of biofilm from our periphyton samples. It's important to note that potassium hydrogen phthalate cannot go down the drain and should be rinsed with DI water and put in a carboy, then submitted to waste disposal.